The human soldier thought he would receive a simple gift, but he was rewarded with an alien princess. Sergeant Elias Ward had never thought of himself as special. He was not famous. He had never been on the news. He had never even fired his weapon in anger. He was a logistics soldier, the kind of man who made sure supplies arrived on time, that camps were organized, and that people did not go hungry. In the human expeditionary corps, soldiers like him were often overlooked. That was fine with Elias. The alien world of Aurelian Prime was beautiful in a quiet way. Its sky was a soft gold color during the day and turned deep violet at night. Tall crystal-like trees grew in wide fields, glowing faintly when the wind passed through them. Elias had been stationed there for nearly 6 months as part of a humanitarian and diplomatic mission. The war that had once scarred the planet was over now. Humanity had arrived late, not to fight, but to help rebuild. Elias liked that part. On the morning of the ceremony, Elias stood near the edge of the great plaza, adjusting the collar of his formal uniform. It felt stiff and uncomfortable, but regulations were regulations. Around him, humans and Aurelians stood together in long lines. The Aurelians were tall and elegant, with smooth skin that shimmered like polished stone. Their eyes were large and expressive, filled with colors that shifted gently as they spoke. The plaza itself was enormous. Floating platforms drifted slowly overhead, carrying banners made of light. Music played softly, not loud or proud, but calm and thoughtful. Elias assumed it was meant to show peace. "Relax," said Corporal Jameson beside him, nudging his arm. "This is just a thank you event. Speeches, medals, maybe a handshake with someone important." It thanked him for exceptional conduct and moral clarity. Elias had read that line several times, unsure what it meant. He had done his job, nothing more. As the ceremony began, a senior Aurelian official stepped forward. Their long robes floated slightly above the ground, woven with patterns that shifted like living things. The crowd grew quiet. "Today," the official said, their voice gentle but clear, "we honor those who gave not only aid but understanding, not only service but restraint. Maybe a crystal badge, maybe a document of appreciation." He had already planned to send it home to his mother. Then the official paused. "There is one among the humans," they continued, "whose actions reflect a rare harmony of intention and respect, one who upheld our dignity even when our own people questioned it. Sergeant Elias Ward of Earth." "I am honored," Elias said simply, following protocol. The official studied him for a long moment. Their eyes shimmered with deep blues and silvers. "Sergeant Ward," they said, "do you know why you stand here?" The official nodded slowly. "That answer confirms what we already believed." When faced with our ancient customs, he asked questions instead of making demands. "A gift that binds civilizations." Her robes were simple compared to the others, yet carried symbols woven with care. Her eyes held a deep, steady glow, like stars reflected in still water. She walked forward with slow, confident steps and stopped beside the official. "This," the official said, "is Princess Seelen of the Aurelian Concord." Her expression was neutral, curious, and slightly guarded. The official continued, "By ancient law, the highest reward we may grant is the offering of royal trust. Princess Seelen is bestowed upon you as a symbol of alliance, honor, and unity." His thoughts raced, trying to make sense of what he had just heard. I don't understand," Elias finally said. The official tilted their head. "You are confused." Even the human delegation looked stunned. Seelen's eyes widened slightly, not in anger, in surprise. The official spoke carefully. "This is our most sacred tradition. But I can't accept something that takes away someone else's choice." Then Seelen took a small step forward. "May I speak?" she asked softly. The official hesitated, then nodded. Seelen turned to Elias. "You would reject power, status, and eternal favor because you believe I should choose for myself. Especially then." It stretched long and heavy, as if the air itself was waiting to see what would happen next. Elias stood still, unsure if he had just ruined something important or started something far bigger than himself. Princess Seelen remained beside him. She did not move back. She did not look away. Her eyes stayed on Elias, studying him as if he were something new and unfamiliar. The Aurelian official finally spoke. Their voice was calm, but there was tension beneath it. This matter requires reflection. The ceremony is suspended. You did not hesitate, she said quietly. Elias looked at her. About what? That is rare. For a moment neither spoke. You are uncomfortable, she observed. Elias gave a small laugh. That's one way to put it. I guess so. Not a free traveler, a symbol. No one has ever asked if I wish to choose differently. Commander Reyes met him in her office. Her expression was serious but not angry. Sit, she said. Elias sat. You caused a diplomatic shockwave, she said plainly. I know, Elias replied. I'm sorry if. About not wanting to be part of something that felt wrong. When he finished, the commander was quiet for a long moment. You realize, she said, that many species would have accepted without question. She wore simpler clothing now, closer to human style, though still clearly Aurelian. Elias was assigned as her point of contact. Of course I am, he muttered. They walked through the compound together. Humans greeted Seelen politely. Some looked nervous, others smiled. No one bows, Seelen noted. No one's required to, Elias said. Respect isn't about posture. She saw soldiers help civilians without being asked. She saw leaders questioned, challenged, and sometimes corrected. Elias stayed near her, answering questions, explaining customs. One evening they sat outside under the violet sky. Your people are strange, Seelen said. Elias smiled. That's what everyone says. And you do not confuse honor with control. Finally, she said, if I choose to stay here as an equal envoy, not as a reward, would your people accept me? And somewhere deep within ancient systems of power, something old and unchanging had begun to crack, not by force, but by a simple human refusal to take what was not freely given. The attention did not stay quiet for long. Within days, messages arrived from across the Aurelian conquered. Councils requested explanations. Elders demanded clarification. Some praised the human refusal as unexpected wisdom. Others called it a dangerous insult hidden behind polite words. Princess Seelen felt the pressure first. She was invited, summoned, really, to speak with the High Council through a long-distance projection. The chamber prepared for her was simple, but the presence on the other side felt heavy. Elias stood nearby, not allowed to speak, only to observe. The images of the council formed in the air. Tall figures robed in shifting light, their eyes bright with authority. Princess Seelen, one of them said, you stand at the center of disorder. You were designated a legacy reward, another elder said. The human refused. That refusal weakens our law. They influence me to think. Stability without choice is only quiet fear. And some of that division points directly at you. I never wanted that. You don't have to stay, he told her one evening, if this is too much. Not equally. My mom says you can change what you become. And they want the galaxy to see it. Princess Seelen, will you fulfill your role as legacy reward, preserving our law and securing our alliances? Then what do you choose? Some looked relieved. The council withdrew to deliberate. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the lead elder spoke. Your choice will fracture our customs. That night, Seelen stood beneath the violet sky again, this time alone. Elias approached quietly. You were brave, he said. She shook her head. I was honest. Messages traveled faster than thought. Across the galaxy, beings spoke of the human who refused power, of the princess who refused to be owned. And slowly, the idea spread that humanity's greatest strength was not what they could take, but what they chose not to. The days after the public assembly felt heavier than any Elias had known before. Nothing exploded. No one shouted orders. No alarm sounded. Yet everything had changed. Across the compound, conversations grew quieter. Messages arrived constantly from Earth, from allied systems, from worlds that had never spoken to humans before. Questions filled the channels. Opinions clashed. Some praised humanity's values. Others warned that traditions had been challenged too openly. Elias tried to stay focused on his duties. Supply reports still needed checking. Routes still needed planning. People still needed food and shelter. Yet everywhere he went, eyes followed him. He did not like that. Seelan felt it too, but differently. For the first time, she was no longer protected by unquestioned status. Some Aurelians greeted her warmly. Others turned away. A few spoke openly of disappointment. "You are changing things too fast," one elder said to her during a quiet walk. Seelan answered calmly, "Things that cannot survive change are already broken." A trade delegation from a distant system requested a meeting with human representatives, specifically asking about the principle of refusal. A small cultural group sent a message thanking Seelan for showing them that tradition could be questioned without destruction. But not all reactions were positive. An allied council issued a formal concern. They warned that if humans encouraged rejection of long-standing customs, alliances might weaken. Stability, they argued, depended on predictability. Commander Reyes called Elias in again. "You may be reassigned off-world," she said. "Some leaders believe your presence is disruptive. You still don't see yourself as important, do you? Ideas scare people. Neither do I." She spoke about trust, about how symbols lose meaning when they ignore consent, about how humans had not weakened alliances but revealed a different kind of strength. Some listeners leaned forward, others looked away. Then questions came. "What prevents chaos if tradition is questioned?" one asked. Seelan replied, "Responsibility." "Empathy," she said. "What prevents collapse?" "It's action while afraid." "I don't want you to go." The morning Elias left, the sky was gold again. He stood near the transport ship, Pack Light, uniform plane. Seelan arrived without announcement. "I wanted to say goodbye properly," she said. Elias smiled sadly. "I don't think this is goodbye. That I will continue this path, whether you are here or not." She did not feel abandoned. She felt prepared. Across the galaxy, discussions continued. Some councils revised language. Some delayed decisions, some resisted fiercely, but none could forget what had happened. A human soldier had refused power. A princess had refused to be given. And even separated by stars, their choices continued to echo quietly, steadily, reshaping the idea of honor itself. Time passed, but the echo of choice did not fade. Elia's ward was assigned to a quiet outpost on the edge of human-controlled space. It was a place with little attention, little importance, and no politics, at least on the surface. He returned to what he had always done best. He organized supplies. He helped new recruits adjust. He listened more than he spoke. Yet even there, his name followed him. Some soldiers asked careful questions. Others thanked him quietly. A few admitted that his refusal on Aurelian Prime had made them rethink what service meant. Elias never corrected them. He never claimed credit. He only said, "I did what felt right." She did not correct them either. Instead, she worked. She met with minor councils first, then with cultural groups, then with worlds that had once felt small and unheard within the conquered. She spoke plainly. She listened carefully. She never demanded agreement. Slowly, change took root. A new role was proposed, not by the High Council, but by allied systems observing from afar. An envoy position based on consent, not tradition. A representative who spoke between worlds, not above them. Seelan accepted. She did not wear royal colors. She did not stand on raised platforms. She sat at tables. She walked among people. And everywhere she went, the story followed her. The story of the human soldier who said no. The story of the princess who chose yes for herself. Years later, the conquered formally revised the legacy reward tradition. It was not erased. It was transformed. What was once an offering of a person became an offering of cooperation, freely chosen by all involved. Other civilizations noticed. Some resisted. Some followed. All remembered. Humanity's reputation shifted. They were no longer seen as merely adaptable or clever. They were seen as something stranger and harder to predict, a species that refused unfair advantage, a species that valued consent more than comfort, a species that could not be bought. Elias learned of these changes through reports and quiet messages. He never responded publicly. One evening, as he finished his shift, a message arrived marked personal. It was short. Envoy Seelan requests your presence. Voluntary, no obligation. When Seelan entered, he recognized her immediately. She had changed, but not in ways he could easily describe. She moved with quiet confidence, not inherited authority. Her eyes held calm strength. They stood facing each other, neither sure who should speak first. You came, she said. You asked, Elias replied. They both smiled. They walked together through the station, speaking of small things first. Work, travel, the weight of responsibility, the strange paths life takes. Eventually, Seelan stopped. Do you know why I asked for you? She asked. Elias considered. Because something important is coming. One based on shared values, not dominance. Ask. I ask only if you would choose to stand beside me. Not because tradition demands it, but because you want to. I choose that. But the lesson was already learned. Humanity did not rise by taking thrones. They did not conquer stars. They changed the galaxy by refusing to accept what should not be taken. And in doing so, they earned something far greater than any gift. They earned trust, not because they demanded it, but because they proved again and again that when offered power without consent, humanity would always choose to say no. And that choice changed everything.